All right, guys, hello and welcome. And we have a new face
Oh,
here in the Gwent home office studio. We have Jean, right? Jean?
yeah.
I
This
said
is
that.
it.
I said it properly. At least I'm really happy about that. So you are a new face in the gameplay team. What's your position? What do you do here? Tell us a little bit more. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm a gameplay designer working on Gwent. Design team. I just joined the design team and I'm having a great time.
Nice. What was your involvement in Way of the Witcher?
Yeah, so I arrived a bit like 2 months ago, I suppose, and the expansion was already work in progress, but a lot of the design weren't figured out. So my involvement. So yeah, when I arrived, I joined the guys in working on figuring out what the expansion was going to be and how to keep how to make the game evolve. And yeah.
Well, when it comes to card games, like, what's your background? Are you like us, the majority of us working on Gwent? Are you a card game geek?
Yeah, maybe not the biggest one, but I did play a lot of them.
Nice.
Of course. I have some background with Yu-Gi-Oh, with some weird Japanese card game called Vice Schwarz.
Nice.
So yeah.
Awesome, cool. So we are here to go over the cards which were revealed throughout last week, since this is airing on Monday. And we will probably not cover the big reveal that Ryan did with Malegion, because that's already out on YouTube. We'll actually link it in the description below this video so you guys can check it out for yourself. But we wanted to go through the ones which were revealed by the community, and we'll go in the order that they were revealed on all the Discords, Twitters, anywhere, Reddit, whatever you saw them. So we'll just go one by one, and we will have your commentary, Jean, so you can help us with kind of understanding what these cards do and probably give a little bit of context behind the design. So I think without further ado, we should start with the first one, which is Witcher Saboteur. And this is a Witcher, of course. Dum dum dum. And on deploy, you move an enemy unit to the leftmost position on its row, damage it by 1 for every card it passed. That's interesting. Interesting design here.
Yeah.
So what was kind of the idea behind this card?
So I think most players figured it out by now, but for this expansion, we wanted to develop the idea of movement scoia'tael.
Nice.
And what's interesting about this card is, so in the best scenario, you're able to damage a unit by 7 damage, which makes it a 10 for 5. And while it is a dreamy scenario, it's actually a reliable card when you start playing movement, because movement is going to move the card to the rightmost position of the row. And so you should be able to reliably get about 4 or 5 damage. And so yeah, the point of this card was to give some kind of finisher that's going to be able to make use of the fact that you're moving around the board of your opponent. Nice.
Yeah, really cool. I like that you mentioned movement scoia'tael, because when I read the text, it gave me that vibe. And this one was revealed by Isegrim on the German Discord, so he's one of the moderators there, so shout out to him. So that's our first one. Our next one is Coded Weapons. This is a tactic card, and it damages a unit, an enemy unit, by 5. And it also has Death Blow, banish it, and spawn a copy of it on top of opponent's deck. Ooh.
Yeah, a Coded Weapon is a card that was already designed when I arrived, but I really like it. It's a very interesting removal. 5 is great damage, but what's really interesting about it is the fact that it's a double-edged sword. If you remove something that usually the things that you want to remove is not something you'd want your opponent to get to draw again. But there is multiple uses to this card. So the first thing is it denies the graveyard. The card doesn't go to the graveyard, it doesn't trigger Death Rattle, and that's pretty interesting. Yeah. The second thing is it increase the size of your opponent decks, which is interesting for Colgrim, which was revealed on Monday. And the two other uses is you can either put a good target on top of your opponent deck and maybe try to use it by using Isbell or Cantarella, but you can also decide to put very bad targets. Like, for instance, if you target a drone with coated weapon, so you're losing some of the value, but it gives you the ability to put a 1-power drone on top of your opponent's deck. So there's carryover. That's really interesting, I think.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, you can kind of... I like cards which have the ability to put something on top of opponent's deck, because it's kind of like playing around with their strategy and messing it up, which I feel like is super fun to do. Yeah. And this one was revealed by Piable. He's one of the open winners. So it's an interesting choice for sure. Moving on, we have Triangle Within a Triangle. This is a spell which boosts an ally by its provision cost or damages an enemy by its provision cost. So you get a choice here, right?
Yeah. So the first thing we should mention is that it's a spell, which means it's another target for Alzur.
Yes.
And yeah, I think it's an interesting removal. The more valuable the target that you want to remove, the more damage this is going to give you, because it's usually going to be a target with more provision. If the target is boosted, however, sometimes it's not going to be enough. And there is also, of course, times where you just want the value, and maybe like some 13 provision units is only going to have, I don't know, 4 power, and it's not really interesting. So it actually gives you this flexibility of using it on your own units and maybe highly costed ones, so that you get a lot of boost.
Nice. I like that you have the ability to choose what you want to do with this card. Like, you can boost or you can damage. So I like the choice option here, because sometimes you don't want to remove anything, but you need at least a couple points to win a round or a match. That's really cool. And this one was revealed by our lovely Reddit moderators. Next up, we have a controversial one. We have Cosimo Malaspina, a human mage with a deploy. Transform adjacent units into random units that cost 1 provision more. This is an interesting design one, especially that people like to talk about RNG in our community, especially.
Yeah.
But I think it's a fun card for sure, right?
It definitely is. So I cannot be blamed for this card, because again, it was already designed when it arrived. But I really like it. I think cards like this are nice, and there's some excitement to what you're gonna get. Especially when you set it up with targets like the Witcher's Trio or Roaches, Knickers. And cards like this, where the payout isn't consistent at all, are fine to have, because players will back meme decks with it and have a lot of fun with it. And it's not really gonna bother the competition.
Yeah, and it's also something that is a little bit unpredictable, but like you said, if you're playing it and you're playing it casually, let's say, it's a fun card, because you can get something cool or you can brick, but the kind of anticipation and kind of this feeling that it might be something cool, and then you actually get a win thanks to this card is something that is fun for sure. So I think that the overall design idea for this card was for it to be purely fun, which is of course cool in my book, because I like when cards are fun. And this one was showed by Mr. Habla. He's a YouTuber and streamer, so you can check it out. I think also his review was super funny.
I definitely recommend watching his reveal. It really was a great fit for the card.
Yeah, I agree. So everyone who hasn't seen it, check him out. He's on YouTube, so watch that video. It's probably also linked if you go to our Twitter, or if you go to YouTube and just simply type in Mr. Habla, it should be there. Okay, next up we have Griffin, Witcher Adept, and it's a Witcher, of course, from the Griffin school. He has shield and order. Transform an allied Witcher into a base copy of Griffin Witcher Adept.
Yeah, it's a very interesting card. And of course, the big question is, what is it going to be able to target? And, well, I won't spoil it yet. You will have to play it. But we can already see some of the combos that are available for this card. Namely... of course, I forgot the name of the card. Yeah, King Rogner. Mm-hmm. King Rogner. If you're able to set up multiple Griffin Witcher Adepts, that's a lot of shield that you're going to be able to make value of. Yeah, I think you can pretty much see where we are already going with this card.
Yeah, totally. Really awesome one. This one was shown by the Beastie. She's a streamer and a caster. So you can check her out also on Twitter, or you can check out one of her streams. But yeah, super cool card. Moving on, we have the most creepiest one revealed to date, which is Failed Experiment. And it's a human mutant salamander card. At the end of turn, lose 1 coin, so you're losing coin. If you have no coins, damage self by 1 instead. While poisoned, disable this ability. So this is some self-poisoning happening here.
Yeah, just like the direction we've been going with Roland and with Salamander Abomination, this is support for the self-poison archetype, or more, rather, really expanding it for once. Mm-hmm. And this gives you a target that you will be quite happy to see poisoned, because it will stop hurting you. And this card also gives you the ability to play it at the very end of a round to get suddenly a nice body that fits on the field. Mm-hmm. If you don't, if it's too much trouble to poison it, I think it's still fine.
Nice. Super interesting design here for sure. I really like this one. And this one was shown by Aphorismo, is a streamer from LATAM. So yeah, moving on, we have Viper Witcher Adept, and I just have to stop here because I really love the art, and I love the goat, and I love the kid kind of like being in full like fury, and just cutting a piece of the tail. You can see it's just so cool, and the emotion in the card is crazy. But I will stop geeking out on the art and actually talk about the ability. So Viper Witcher Adept, at the end of turn, boosts self by 1 if opponent has more cards in the deck than you, which is also super interesting.
Yeah, so this definitely validates that we're going in this direction of putting cards in your opponent deck, mm-hmm. using cards like Cynthia, Infiltrator to make sure that you have a lot of cards, and card game is going to get really big. And Adept is this classical engine design, mm-hmm. That thrive on this type of gameplay. And I guess in the first few rounds, it might not be too easy to get the points. But if you actually play it for instance, Portal, that makes sure that you have less cards in your deck than your opponents, and that it's going to trigger at the end of the round, which is also a direction that you can go with. Thinning your own deck instead of putting more cards in the one of your opponents. Yeah,
makes total sense, and yeah, like you said, it kind of shows you the direction that Northgard is going. So that's really cool. This one was shown by Andasama on Friday. He's our German Discord mod. And moving on, I think we have 3 more. Next one is Cat Witcher, and also I will geek out a little bit about the art because Cat School was actually my favorite school in The Witcher, so him wearing that awesome armor just brings back a lot of memories. And the hood, like, you know, whenever you played Blood and Wine, you would get the armor with the hood for Geralt. Oh, that was so good. But yeah, he just looks badass jumping into battle here. So Cat Witcher, of course a Witcher. At the end of your turn, move self to the other row and damage a random enemy on the opposite row by 1. And he also has Adrenaline 4, damage it by 2 instead.
Yeah, a lot of support for the movement archetype. So what I find really cool about this card is how he's going to be jumping around on each turn, and it actually creates a lot of movement on the board, which I feel looks really cool. Interesting thing to note is that it's synergized with Dole Blatana Sentry, which will boost him every time he moves. And overall, I think he's a strong engine, and that gets even better when you reach the adrenaline threshold. So be careful when you face it.
Yeah, crazy one. Also revealed on Friday by Necrotal, who is a Russian streamer. So the CIS community should know this dude. Moving on, two more. The next one, we will have a problem with pronunciation of it for sure, but it's Fuka. That's what we would call it. It's an Ogroid. He or she has Veil and Thrive. So units played by your opponent trigger this unit's Thrive ability.
So we haven't revealed too much monster cards yet, so yes. I'm not going to be able to say much. But the idea behind this card was that we wanted to play around the Thrive and how Thrive exists in the game. And Nicker's Thrive, right? And so yeah, this was the fruit of this experiment. A card that do thrive, but under different conditions, because it's also going to thrive when your opponent plays a card. And so that means that suddenly your opponent has to be careful about what he plays, because he's going to trigger your units. Yeah, interesting design also here. Really like the card, really like the art too. A little bit creepy, but still really colorful, which is quite surprising in the monster lineup.
Yeah, super colorful, and you see the knights in shining armor, but then you see the monster kind of behind him and like trying to rip his head off, which is like, oops, what's going on here? Okay, and this one was also revealed on Friday by Aris, who is a Spanish streamer. And that is almost the last one, the penultimate card. And the last one is the one which was shown on Saturday, if I remember correctly, making a bomb. Move an enemy unit to the other row and give it bleeding. If it's the only unit on that row, damage it by 4 instead. So it gives 4 bleeding. That's something I forgot to mention. So yeah, another bomb.
So this is a chip spell for Scoia'tael that they're going to be able to use to have even more control about where the enemy board is located, and that they can use to single out units and try to have a removal. Nice. I really like it. Good that we're having more bombs in the game for sure. This one was actually revealed by Vlad from our team during the Merchants of Novigrad podcast on Saturday. So yeah, if you haven't checked out, saw ever their podcast, I highly recommend it. You can listen to it, but you can also watch it on their Twitch channel. They had a couple people from our studio as guests, so highly recommend that one. And I think that's it. We got them all. Yeah,
awesome. It was nice having you, Jean, for the first time. We will be doing these kind of summaries on a weekly basis, so we will be summing up the week of reveals until we get to the expansion itself, which launches on tricky question. You guys know, on December 8th. Sorry to put you on the spot. So yeah, if you haven't checked out anything about Way of the Witcher, we have a dedicated website for that. So if you go to playgwent.com, we have a big banner there that says Way of the Witcher. If you click on it, you can see the reveals. You can learn about the expansion, kind of what is happening within the factions with the addition of this expansion. And we are also working on a video that will go into details on Adrenaline. I recorded it yesterday. Jean was also able to help me with it. So the script and everything I said in that video should be okay. It should launch in the next probably couple of days. And yeah, I think we have it all.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me, and yeah, I'm really happy I was able to discuss some of the design behind this expansion. I'm very excited about it. I think there's a lot of interesting things that are yet to be discovered by the players.
Yeah.
And overall, I think that the adrenaline mechanic is something really interesting that will create great new plays for the player in Gwent in the future.
I agree. Thank you for taking your time, of course, to jump in and talk to me. Hopefully we can have more of you. And that's it. So with that, we will say goodbye to you guys. And yeah, like I said, want to know more about Way of the Witcher, head over to playgwent.com. And we will also be posting more stuff on socials, and we'll be retweeting and reposting all the reveals that are coming up this week and until the launch of Way of the Witcher. That's it. Cool.
See
Take
you.
care, guys. Bye.